Hi, I'm Chris Mullinex, president at CRM Properties. I want to talk a little bit about maintenance and our approach to maintenance. So, number one, we understand maintenance is a big pain point for most rental property owners. There's a big fear that maintenance costs are going to be expensive, there's going to be excessive maintenance, my property's not properly being maintained. It's something that we take seriously, and we do our very best to make sure that we're handling maintenance as it needs to be handled. So, I want to talk a little bit about the life cycle of a maintenance request. Basically, what do we do when a resident requests maintenance? So, when a maintenance request comes in, the first thing that we want to do is look at the maintenance request and determine is this a legitimate maintenance request? Is this something that needs to be done? If it is, the next thing that we're going to determine is this a resident responsibility or an owner responsibility? We want to make sure we know, in a sense, who's responsible for paying for it. So that's the next thing we do. Once we know that, then we'll do our best to troubleshoot our way through this maintenance request. So if we can talk to the tenant and help the tenant solve the maintenance request without having to send anybody out and therefore not charge anybody on it, then that's our first desire. So after we troubleshoot, then we'll schedule the request with the resident depending on the severity of the maintenance request. If it's an emergency, we may get out same day. If it's high priority, it might be next business day. If it's a low priority, then we'll schedule accordingly. Once the request has been completed, then we will create a bill. We will bill the appropriate party. If it is the property owner, then we'll just put it on the property owner's account and we'll take it out of their rent proceeds at the end of the month. So that's the general life cycle of a maintenance request and how we complete it. Now, there are a couple other things that I think are important to understand about our process. So, number one, we have a 24/7, 24-hour day, 7-day a week emergency maintenance hotline. So, any one of our residents can call in at any time and get a live operator that will be able to help them with that maintenance request. And if it is serious, doesn't matter if it's a holiday, it's the weekend, it's after hours, that gets sent to the appropriate person so that it can be addressed. The next thing I want to talk about is in-house maintenance. So, we are a company that has all of our maintenance in-house, meaning we've got employed full-time people in our company that are dedicated to maintenance. So we're not using a third party, we're doing most of the maintenance in-house. Now, there are some times that we use a third-party vendor, usually for those highly skilled items like roofs or HVAC, electrical, plumbing. We're going to call the experts on those, but a lot of those lower level requests, we're going to handle those ourselves. Another item that I think is important to understand is we have what we call a threshold on the maintenance. Basically, how far can we go on a maintenance request before we have to consult the property owner and get their approval to do more maintenance on the property? So we have this in place so that we can react quickly, not disrupt the resident, not necessarily call you regularly on lower level items. So anytime we have a maintenance request under that threshold, we're going to make the decision, going to act in your best interest, get it taken care of. Once it exceeds that, then we're going to make sure you know about it right away so that you can give us some input on it as well. Okay, another item that I think is important to touch on is those third-party vendors. When we use them, we do have a small markup that we put on those invoices. We have to use a third party. It's a lot more labor-intensive for us. It takes a lot more work, and we put a lot of effort into making sure that our third-party vendors are screened properly. We've got all the proper insurance, basically reducing your liability of having a person at the property working on it. So we do have a small markup when we use a third-party vendor. And then lastly, the last thing I want to talk about is we do get some requests from some property owners that want to do their own maintenance, or they want to use their own vendors to do the maintenance. So if you've got a vendor that you prefer to use, then we're happy to use them. We just need them to kind of work our system. We want to vet them. We want to make sure they have proper insurance. We want to make sure that they'll use our system so that we can properly notify the resident and such. So if you've got a vendor that you like, let us get introduced to them and we'll most likely be able to work with them. As for you performing the maintenance on the property, right now that's a no-no on our end. We don't like the property owners going in and out of the property doing their own maintenance. Number one, you may not be licensed, you may not have proper insurance. When it has happened in the past, it tends to cause a little bit of issues between the residents and owners. So we basically just said, while the property is occupied, we won't let the owners do their own maintenance. If you have any questions about maintenance or any property management questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us.